Good morning. We're breaking into programming right now to bring you some breaking news out of Surfside. Rescue crews are on the scene of a partial building collapse. We have several crews on the scene, starting with Local 10's Annalise Garcia. She's live with the latest. Let's get to her right now.
Now, I'm on scene right now. If you want to come back out live, I'm on scene with somebody who lives nearby. His name is Willie Gomez. Hi, Willie. He has a tenant who lives in that building. Willie, talk to us about your experience this morning.
I mean, I just got up this morning to have some coffee, and I just went to the iPad. I'm looking at stuff on the news, and I saw this, and I'm like, 88, 70 minute column. I mean, that's Champlain. So I was, family has a unit there, and we have a tenant that lives in one of the units, and I just came to see where it was. I couldn't really see what part of the building, and I'm like, it's unbelievable.
What's your reaction right now? I mean, your biggest worry? What?
Oh my God! There's people who were there. I mean, there's got to be people in those that were there in these units. I mean, it's like, what's going on? I don't think if they got any notice before this happened, it's like it had to be like all of a sudden. I don't know if people were able to get out or heard something or what, but it's man. I just hope it would. People were not in there, or people were out.
See video right here of someone getting pulled out, a young boy, we're being told, getting pulled out of that rubble. So again, this is just how crazy the scene is so far this morning, as more things, more videos, more photos get sent to us here in the newsroom. And just to give you a sense of how chaotic this scene is right now, as we work to learn more as to what exactly caused this building collapse, and God forbid how many people have passed away or perhaps are hurt right now getting treated by first responders, as you take a zoom out here just to give you a more wider perspective on what exactly is going on.
Surfside, we have a building that has partially collapsed. This is a 12-story building. People are describing it on the backside. You've seen all the units, Miami-Dade Fire Rescue out in full force with other cities helping out in this situation. And it's still coming in as breaking news. That's why we still don't know about were there any injuries? Were there any people hurt? Were there any people rushed to the hospital? This is all the stuff that we're still working on for you.
And we're also hearing more this morning from people near the scene telling us what they saw when this all happened. Take a listen.
The building shook. And then I looked out the window and you couldn't see. I thought it was like a storm or something coming in. And then what happened was when the dust cleared, there was the back half of the building, or back 2/3 of the building was gone.
At the scene now, and I can see the back of the building, and it reminds me of the Vernal building in Oklahoma City, or Crowbar Towers, or 9/11. When I went home for 5 minutes, and I came back down Collins, and I passed a gentleman with dust all over him like you see after 9/11, and I asked him if he was okay. He was in shock, but he said he was okay.
So, JC and Gio, I'm on the other side from where they are triaging. I'm going to give you a closer look to the rescue effort here. This is the closest we've been able to see so far of the actual building collapse. Right now, you're looking at a ladder truck. It's cutting through some sort of rail. I can also take you up a little bit onto the balcony of this. Oh, we're actually watching a rescue right now. You can see these firefighters. It looks like they may be pulling someone out of one of the units right now of the building where one of the towers collapsed. Again, this is a multi-story building, the Chaplain Towers here on Collins Avenue. We know that the majority of the collapse happened on the beach side. We are on the opposite side of that, but this is the closest view we're taking you to right now. Again, this is some sort of rescue that we're looking at. You can see, again, firefighters cutting through something here on a balcony. We're also seeing a lot of rubble on our side, on the balconies of the south side of this building on Collins Avenue. Again, we're about a block away from that triage setup that I just showed you moments ago. And right now you're seeing these two firefighters in that ladder truck. Again, they seem to be scaling.
They're going to bring them down.
It looks like they're going to bring these firefighters down right now.
Man, they rescued in the bucket.
Someone appears to have been rescued. They're in that unit with those firefighters on that ladder truck, about to be moved back to the apparatus that Miami-Dade Fire Rescue has out here right now. There's several firefighters on the ground too. That person will likely be taken to the paramedic station and then taken to one of the trauma centers in the area. Again, we've seen rescue units from across Miami-Dade County, from across Broward County. I just spoke to a Coral Springs fire chief who said that 20 units from across Broward County have been sent out here to help. So we're seeing really every fire unit from our area here. Taking you to another look now. This is just a giant rubble pile from that building collapse. We'll take you a little bit closer so you can see just how destructive this collapse was. Just giving you a closer look here now. Again, over 80 units just from Miami-Dade Fire, and I told you more than 20 from Broward County, so that's already at over 100. We've also seen Surfside, Davie, Hollywood, several units from across South Florida arriving here. This is just a massive rescue response. They said they got the call this morning, calling this a mass casualty event. So again, here's a look at the balconies from our point of view. You can see a lot of them have collapsed. There's a lot of rubble, a lot of damage. Taking you a little closer now, you can see where people had some of their patio furniture out. Some of that has since fallen onto the ground. Let me see what else we're looking at right now. A lot of just kind of tattered sides to the building, a lot of loose cables, and just a lot of damage and destruction to this building here. Again, we really don't know what the count is of the injured, but we did just see live one rescue from the building by Miami-Dade Fire Rescue. If we can go back to the ground right now and see what's happening with these firefighters and paramedics on the ground. We'll take you closer right now. Again, this is about a block from where paramedics are triaging those patients that are being pulled from the building. We are on Collins Avenue on the city side of the building. Again, the majority of the destruction from this collapse is on the beach side. So I'm going to try to speak to someone from Miami-Dade Fire Rescue and give you a better idea of what we just saw with that rescue. So as soon as I get that information, JC and Gio, I'll pass that back to you. But for now, we're live on the scene. JC and Gio, I'll send it back to the studio.
Syra, before we let you go, we just want to touch on something you mentioned very briefly earlier. You mentioned this was a mass casualty event. Someone tell you that? I mean, we want to make sure we want to be able to confirm that moving forward.
Yeah, they got a call. Coral Springs Fire got a call to this site, and they knew to send this many fire units, rescue units rather, because they called this a mass casualty event. Whether or not that's actually what they end up calling this, we don't know, but that's the call they got this morning, and that's how they knew they needed to send at least 20 units from their jurisdictions to this scene.
Wow, that is breaking news you're hearing about right now on Local 10. Welcome back to Local 10. It's 5:47, and you are looking at live pictures courtesy of Sky 10 flying over that collapsed building on 8777 Collins Avenue. This is the Champlain Tower. This is the South Tower. We are monitoring this developing breaking news for you. We do know that people have been rescued from the rubble, from balconies. We have more than 80 rescue units on the scene, and we do not know how many people could be trapped inside that rubble. This all happening after midnight, and we have been bringing you live reports since 4 a.m. You can really, for the first time right now, see all the damage and the magnitude of that partial building collapse. We're hearing from Syra on the ground. About 1/3 of the building is gone. You can see fire rescue officials right now. They are in that building searching for victims, searching for people who need rescuing. But that part of the building that faces out to the ocean, you can see is gone. And the ground, it certainly does just look like how people have been describing it. We certainly don't have a report that this is a bomb. We have video of a rescue that took place. They pulled a boy straight from that rubble. This is one of the first videos we received into our Local 10 newsroom and really gave us an idea of what we were dealing with. Because to hear about a building collapse is one thing, but to see the fire rescue crews on the scene grabbing this young boy and pulling him directly out of that cement, that debris. You see the rebar from the construction that has fallen apart right there. And just grabbing that boy and rescue him, that was the first thing you saw, that you realized exactly what we're dealing with this massive scene.
Team coverage of that breaking news of that partial building collapse in Surfside.
We've confirmed one person is dead. Let's get straight over to Madeline Wright. She is live on the scene. Madeline, what can you tell us about what's happening right now?
Good Morning, JC and Geo. The fire rescue department tells me that one person has died, but it's not clear if that person died in the collapse or on the way to the hospital after the collapse. Right now, fire rescue is working to get information on how many people were injured, who the person is who died, and how many people are still trapped in the building needing to be rescued. This is happening at the corner of 88th Street and Collins Avenue right here in Surfside. It's this building which is about 12 stories tall. Within the last 45 minutes to an hour, we saw fire rescue with ladder trucks rescuing people floor by floor from their balconies.
We were finally able to get on the beach side where you can really get a close look at the just absolute destruction of this building. You can see where it collapsed, several floors. It looks like about 4 levels of that corner unit are just completely destroyed. We're seeing a lot of rubble. Those balconies are gone. We know, we've confirmed that there are people still trapped in this building. We watched ladder trucks up there getting people out of the building. We watched firefighters entering units through those ladder trucks, through those buckets. Again, this is the first you're seeing from the beach side on the ground. You saw those chopper shots earlier. This is from the ground. We're on the beach in Surfside. This is the closest look we have gotten so far. We aren't seeing first responders making rescues on this side. They are on the city side. But again, you're just seeing how destroyed this building is, and they are trying to keep people as far back as possible from this area to avoid any possible further collapse. There are people concerned running around looking for their loved ones, asking about people who are inside this building. But right now, police and fire crews are just keeping them as far back as possible. They are also keeping media crews as far back as possible. We managed to get to the beach side. We'll see how long we're allowed to remain here, but we just wanted to give you the closest view you're going to get from the ground of just how bad this is. Again, you're looking, you can see at least 5 of the top floors are completely destroyed. The penthouse area of the building just gone here at the Champlain Towers in Surfside. So again, back out here live, you're looking at the beach side of the building. This is where the collapse happened here at the Champlain Towers. Still have a lot of questions for fire rescue crews who again tell us this call came in as a mass casualty event, but they haven't confirmed how many people have been injured or the extent of their injuries. The other side of the building is where they are triaging patients and then sending them to various trauma centers. We've got over 100 fire units here from both Miami-Dade and Broward counties. Right now, we're working to get information from any of those jurisdictions on what they can provide as far as how many people were affected by this just massive collapse.
But now we're looking at towels, we're looking at beds, we're looking at furniture, we're looking at people's lives in that Champlain Tower South on 8777 Collins Avenue, and you just see the destruction. But the magnitude, when you see how it's gone, and you're seeing every little bit of it from TVs to, you know, pieces of furniture and people's rooms, people's living rooms, people's kitchens, this is where you see unbelievably what happened just after midnight. There's an air conditioner right there.
And remember that rescues are still happening right now. Earlier this morning, about an hour ago, we showed you rescues happening off balconies, fire rescue crews cutting balconies in order to get people off and to safety. We showed you earlier a young boy being saved from the rubble in the darkness. And now just look at all of this. The magnitude can't be stated high enough on how significant the damage is right now.
We spoke to one of those survivors that was in the building when this happened. She lives on the 9th floor. She heard it all happen. Listen to what she said.
The whole building shook like an earthquake.
And what did you think when you heard that?
I opened my sliding glass and I saw a plume of dust. And then I opened the door and I saw that the building had pancakes in the back.
Have you been in touch with your neighbors? Anybody?
There's some people that are alive, but there's 2 lines that everybody's gone. And hopefully there's some people. They've been able to rescue some people because I heard some screams.
Now we're zooming into the canine units that are being brought in, and you know from watching Local 10, this is because they are searching for people, and those dogs are specialized in their training so that they can find people in that rubble and rescue people that may be stuck in those units.
Victor, you came out here early this morning, right when it happened. You know what this building looked like before it collapsed.
Here's a picture.
Victor has a picture on his phone that he's going to show us of this building.
So basically it's an L-shaped building, and that structure, what you're seeing there now, you're missing maybe 40, 50 feet. It protrudes out like this building, and now it's even. So you lost the whole...
Can we show Brian? Brian, can you get a... So Victor's saying this was an L-shaped structure. Right now it's completely leveled. You cannot tell that this building was L-shaped. So Victor, how many units do you think may have been affected from this collision?
At least 50, at least 50. You're talking 12 stories up. You probably, the whole ocean front is gone. It's all the way back, it's missing. Now you're even, it's devastating. Very bad.
So Victor, you compared this structure architecturally to this building over here.
It's the same owners, it's well, the same structure. This is Champlain South, and this is Champlain Tower normal. So there's 3 Champlains. This one was undergoing a major renovation now. They're doing the 40-year certification. So this whole building is sheared off. It's no joke. It's 12 stories collapsed like a pancake.
So you can see this building is L-shaped, and he said this structure is similar, if not identical. They're identical similar buildings. So this whole projected wing onto the beach side is
Came out
gone.
like that, and it's gone. Just like those 2 buildings, it's out. Cut it off, and it's missing.
So the fact that right now we're seeing it completely leveled, both of these sides are even.
Crazy.
The fact that you know, because you've seen this,
Every day when I
what is going through your head seeing just this catastrophic destruction?
For the people in there, just how many people, I hope people weren't there. I hope they had more snowbirds living there, because this could be a major, major problem for us.
If you are just looking for information about this because you're interested, stick with us here on Local 10. Save that phone number for people who are looking for information about loved ones. I can tell you, as we pan over here to the left, the Red Cross is here. Bal Harbor Police are here. Miami-Dade Police are here. There are a lot of emergency workers here trying to keep people calm. Basically, this is just the staging area for those who have been displaced, who are looking for family members that may have been displaced. I know our colleague Annalise Garcia was saying that there was a father closer to the scene that was looking for his daughter who lived in the building. And in fact, Kenny, you'll see coming on your right, we keep seeing this. People are running over here looking for their loved ones that may hopefully be here after this collapse.
Looking at pictures right now before the sun came up. Obviously, our vantage point now is much better with the sunshine on that area. We are concerned that there could be showers and storms happening in Surfside very soon. Charles Burkett, let me quote him right now. He said, "This building is pancaked." He said, "This doesn't happen in America. A building just fell down." His words were very eye-opening to hear it straight from the mayor's mouth. And he confirmed a lot of things we've been reporting all morning long. He confirmed this building has been under renovation for at least 30 days. We told you all morning long they've been working on the roof. He said this is not normal. This is not expected. This is not something that happens. To his memory, it hasn't ever happened in South Florida other than planned.
Saying it was less likely than a lightning strike.
Yeah.
That's the perspective he put on it.
My wife's the one jumped out of bed and she started screaming, "Something's happening, something's happening." When I jumped out of bed, I looked and all I seen was the lights. And then I kind of woke myself up and I opened the door up to our balcony. And I said, "Oh my God, the building's gone."
When somebody says, "Can you zoom into my apartment to see if anybody's inside?" it just shows you how terrifying this is for so many people right now.
It's just such a crazy situation all morning long, especially with even just the people you've been talking to, Syra, that are just there staring in awe. That just goes to show the magnitude of the situation we've been dealing with all morning. I want to go back to this breaking news. A section of the building gone. As you take a look, this looks like an aerial Google map view of just what we were showing you all morning long. And then, of course, there's the Miami-Dade Fire Rescue tweet. We also want to show you a new view of that collapse. It's a photo that JC and I were talking about earlier, this one right here, where you just see that rubble. Notice how tall it is. When we were talking with Glenna earlier this morning, she mentioned that someone may have told her it was about 20 feet high. JC, you made a good point in saying it almost looks like it's taller than that, almost going up to third, maybe fourth story of that building. It just really puts into perspective, especially when you compare to the people down there at the bottom of that photo, just how tall that rubble is.
This is the biggest news of the day happening in South Florida, and it's affecting so many people, and we are here for you as the search and rescue efforts are underway, and we want to help people who are missing loved ones. As
you're taking a look at this video right now, this is from earlier this morning, just taking a close-up look at this rubble of this partial building collapse. The magnitude cannot be overstated as to how significant this is and how many balls we're juggling right now to figure out how many people still need to be transported out to a new place to live at the moment, because this building, as we've heard from the mayor of Surfside earlier, it's not salvageable.
This is a much different scene than a while ago. You can see the people working closer to, but also some family over here just waiting by. Now, like I said, very different than earlier this morning when we saw people running in a panic, looking for their loved ones. The mayor mentioned that 15 family units walked out of their homes, and we spoke to one of the people who was able to walk out. She lives on the 9th floor. She was in complete shock.
What we know at this point is that the Champlain Tower, Tower South, is a 12-story building. It's more than 130 units, and about half of those have collapsed. A massive search and rescue is underway.
Let's just focus on a couple things that they said in case you missed it. I just want to tell all of our viewers real quick. He said that they did pull out 2 survivors from the rubble. We've only been showing you 1 this morning. 2 have been pulled out, and they are already using their heavy machinery, tunneling in through that debris and that pile of rubble, looking for survivors. They have no idea how many people are missing because it's too soon to know.
That left side there, that's what the building looked like before that collapse. On the right, that's what it looks like today. 35 people have been evacuated from the building. So far, we're told that 2 people have been taken from the rubble. We showed you one of those earlier this morning, a young boy being pulled out of that rubble. They were taken to the hospital. We know that at least 1 person has died. Miami-Dade Fire Rescue still not sure how many people are missing.
The police have pushed us back by a block because there is still a risk that the building that partially collapsed could completely collapse. And so they want to make sure that they move their emergency vehicles from away from the front of the building to where the media was parked. And so the media has had to move about a block away, and that is to keep the equipment and the people, the emergency responders, safe.
We're bringing new images into the Local 10 newsroom. Ian Margall sent these to us. You can see this is a side view of that building, the debris in the back portion of the building facing out to the ocean. And then here is a view from Collins Avenue. And you can see we're still looking kind of at the same viewpoint, but now from the street.
So we want to show you something that just got into the newsroom. It's surveillance video of the collapse that we just got permission to use.
But we have to warn you, it may be disturbing to watch because we know there have been injuries and there's been at least 1 death due to this partial building collapse. So just wanted to give you a warning before we roll the video.
You see it there on the right side. Unbelievable to watch. Just something, and there it goes. Again, wow. My goodness.
Wow. That is the first time we have seen the actual collapse on video.
And it's simply striking to watch. I mean, you're almost at a loss for words watching that video as you take a slightly closer look at it right here. The smoke piling through, that ties into what we were hearing from witnesses.
Recovery dogs are at their best in the hours and days after, when there is something to smell that is really hard to hear and harder to say, but that is the truth. And so this is going to be days on end of people that we're meeting here, waiting for word and pretty much expecting the worst. 50 some odd apartments in a very, what we are told, high occupancy building, not only with people who live there, but people who are staying, vacationing, staying in friends' apartments, like the people I told you about, Fabian and Andres, and their newly adopted daughter, Sophia, who are staying in 803.
We just showed the surveillance video. I think the whole entire studio just felt the weight of that. To see it in real time was such a tragedy, and that's why we warned our viewers before we aired it, because we know what that means now.
You see some water, you see police tape off, and it's just another perspective that we've been giving you all morning on this building collapse.
There are the canines that are searching. Those are live victim canines that are searching the rubble pile at this time. So anytime that they sense or they hit on a scent, they're going to mark. And every time they mark, we're going to look. Again, using the equipment, we're going to open small inspection holes, use our camera equipment, use our microphone equipment to search for victims in the area.
You can see some effects there, and that's something that has been incredibly striking all day, all morning long, from overhead view here, from the ground view, especially when you look at the pieces of furniture, the pieces of people's lives that are thrown about.
We're pretty close right now. We've been moving around all morning to get as close as we can. I'll step out of the way so you can see what we can see. This is the view from the street. You can see right there, Collins Avenue, 88th, that big pile of rubble right there is where that collapsed. Now, obviously the rain isn't helping here. And to give you an idea of exactly where we are, we're close to the center of where all the first responders are coming to their trucks to get what they need. And we've seen the Red Cross out here. We've seen people getting here with Bobcat machines headed to that pile of rubble. We've also seen firefighters with tools in their hands walking towards it to search for these people like you were just talking about. Now, we are still working to confirm the number of people unaccounted for, but I've received several messages with names because they can't find their loved ones. Now, we spoke with a person who works in one of those apartments every day as the caretaker for someone. She's a nurse for someone who lived there. She was walking to see the destruction, and when she saw what you're looking at, she broke down because it was one of those apartments that stood there that she used to work in. Listen to what she said.
Inside, the window is no longer there. It's the building after. It's no longer there.
They live on the beach side?
Yeah.
How many people are in there, and what are your thoughts right now?
7:02. There's 3 people that's supposed to be in there at the time, wherever that happened.
Is this family of yours?
This is a man that just drove in from Jupiter. He drove in from Jupiter. He has 5 family members in this building. His mother, his father, his sister, his brother, who are now missing. And he pulled up to City Hall frantic, begging for help, asking where to go. Those are the scenes right now happening outside Surfside City Hall as we speak. People driving in from all over the state, people who cannot communicate, cannot find loved ones, racing down here. That man said, please help, and he was escorted to the Civic Center by City Hall.
You can see patio furniture that was clearly being used, bedding, drapes. You can see exposed cables, different appliances that people have just really hanging from this building. A lot of people are on the beach right now, just kind of taking in this whole scene, just taking in this catastrophic destruction. Again, we're seeing multiple units. This building, I'm told, was L-shaped. It is no longer L-shaped. You can't even tell what shape it was. It is, that whole front wing of this building is just gone.
As the morning unfolded, starting back for us on air at 4 a.m., we saw the aftermath. We didn't see what happened before until that surveillance video essentially brought it full circle. And that damage is significant as rescue crews are still sifting through the rubble that's at the bottom of it.
Right now, if you can hear the police department and FWC, a lot of the law enforcement out here, you can hear them talking over the loudspeaker to the people who are waiting for loved ones. And I want to show you what the scene in the here in the beach is like right now. Some of the people that you see here are spectators, people who live in the area, horrified at what they're looking at. But there are among this crowd people who are just utterly despondent, waiting for word for their family, their loved ones that they have not heard from as they are looking at this building and the collapse from this morning. And now in noon daylight, I want to just take you in for something that really struck us looking at this building. We've been looking at it for 7 hours. We've seen it from different angles. Up in the top unit there, bunk beds, you see carpeting and people's belongings. And this just sort of gives you an idea of, it was in the 1 in the morning, 1:30 in the morning, people were sleeping, going about what we all do every day, just living their lives, and in an instant, what has changed? So down below, the big focus today has been on that huge mountain of debris, and in that debris, as you know now, are probably at least 3 or 4 dozen apartments and the people who were in them. We learned earlier today the occupancy of this building was pretty high, not only with people who live here, but people who are visiting.